Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Still in Love podcast. This is episode number 14, and we are going to switch things up a little bit. Today, we will be doing a little bit of Q&A.
Yep, Q&A. So we're going to address some questions that has been sent to us. And I think it's going to be good. So make sure you tune in. Send your questions in. So we can make sure that we address where you are. We want to make sure we're scratching where you're itching at. Mm-hmm. We don't want to just shoot in the air. We want to scratch where you're itching. This is episode 14.
It is.
And we have 16 episodes in this first season. So send your questions in. We want to make sure we're meeting you right where you are. Amen?
Amen.
All right, so let's go right into it.
Okay.
You ready?
I am.
All right. First question. We're newlyweds, and my husband puts his mom and family before me. How do I communicate with him that I don't feel like I'm his priority?
Oh, that's really good.
That's really good.
That is.
That's really good.
Taking a stab? Come on.
I want you to take a stab at that.
Oh, I want to hear from you.
You want to hear from me?
I do.
No, because I
want to hear from you.
Okay, all right. But from a woman's perspective, I think that's good. And I really, I want you to go first on that. And I
don't want to go first.
You don't want to go first? You come on, go first.
Okay, start over and ask the question again.
So we're newly married, and my husband puts his mom and family before me.
Okay.
How do I communicate with him that I don't feel like I'm his priority?
So in terms of you not feeling like you're a priority, I would say just talk about it. One of the worst things we can do in a relationship is just kind of sit on things and allow them to fester, because I'm sure there's going to be numerous opportunities for you to be around his family. And so every time he's around them and every time you feel that feeling like I'm not a priority, it just stacks and it continues to build and build until eventually something ends up happening. So to prevent some of that, maybe just, creating an opportunity and a space to talk about it when everything's going well, of course. And I think just sharing it. Now, what's going to take place after you share it is going to be very important. Sometimes we say things to our spouse and we want immediate rectification. We want immediate turnaround, pivoting. And I think maybe even through the conversation, like, hey, so-and-so, or hey, honey, when we go around, and be specific, because when you're communicating to a man, it is very important that you are specific about it. And if there are examples that you can share to help him really fully understand, when I do this, this is when you feel like this. Having those things. And it's not like you got a detailed list of accusations. It's just being ready to share. If he asks, well, give me an example of a time when I've made you feel like that, and you're already armed with the information that you need. So that's just helpful in communication, just to make sure that you are communicating fully what it is that you're trying to say. So I think that's it. You just simply have the conversation and say how you feel. Talk about those examples of when you feel like that. And if this is a matter of him actually, sometimes it's just he doesn't know that his actions are creating this feeling in you. Now, if there's a little bit more, if there's some additional layers to this, and he is actually doing it and is fully aware, it's just my family has always been my family, and you're my wife. So, some of my brothers still have the mindset that my family does come before my wife. And in the event that is the case, he probably just needs to be reminded, especially if he's a kingdom man, that that's not the order. Yep. The order is God is first, and then my spouse is right there next, second. And then my family.
Yep.
And so, if that's it, then we're going to have the conversation, and we're going to have to put some additional action and things in place to ensure that I don't feel like that.
I think that's really good. I think, and I want to speak to my brothers here, the importance of this. And sometimes people really minimize the importance, or brothers minimize the importance of their wife's need for security. One of a woman's number one need is a need to feel secure, to feel safe, to feel protected. And oftentimes as men, we feel that, well, as long as I'm protecting her from bad guys, or protecting her from, from certain dangers, then I'm doing my job at securing her or protecting her. But it's more than that. It's emotional security. It's protecting her from everything. And sometimes as men, especially when you have a great relationship with your mother, you feel that your mother is your queen. Your mother has always been your queen, and she's always going to be your queen. Your mother's always been there, and she's going to be there. And so you don't really give it any thought that, my wife has become my top priority outside of God. It's business as usual. But once you get married, brothers, you have to understand this. The Bible says that a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So that order is now changed. Now it's God, it's your spouse, it's your children, it's your family. And so it's in that order. And when we miss that and we keep mom as first place in our life or second to God, that order is violated. And so I think it's important. You don't take anything from your mom by loving your wife or putting your wife first.
Yep.
And so sometimes brothers it's a difficult time and we feel like, well, I have to, if I put my wife first, it takes away my love from my mother. No, it doesn't. It just communicates that this is now the order. And I think that's so important. And your wife need to know, she need to see that she's your number one outside of God, and not that you're going to disrespect your mom, not that you're going to, I'm going to lay down the law and tell my mama, what's up, and we'll give her a piece of my mind. No, it's not that you're going to handle the situation like that. Yep. But your wife need to know that if there's any misunderstandings, if there's any, time or situation where your mom gets a little out of hand, or it's acting honorary, towards your wife, it's you really want to, she want to know that you will handle it. And sometimes you have to let her know that I'm going to handle it. It may not be the way that she want you to handle it, but she need to know that it is going to be handled. And really, brothers, we have to man up and handle it. I remember a situation, and I talk about it often, with my mom and you. So on the front end, and this is, now I'm blessed to have a great wife and a great mom, a kingdom wife and a kingdom mom who respects, who loves God and loves each other, praise the Lord, and respects one another, and so my situation is a little different because I'm blessed to have that. I think it's important on the front end. My wife knows my love for my mom. She understands that. She appreciates it. And she appreciates it. And it's been communicated that I love my mom. She see how I treat my mom. And she knows that my mom is a priority in my life. My mom understands, as a kingdom woman, that when my wife and I got married, she became my number one priority. Yeah. I let her know that she's my number one priority. I love you, but this is my priority. I remember a time where we was getting ready to go out of town, and my mom spent the night at the house, and we had some greens at the house, and we had some greens in the refrigerator. My wife hadn't cooked them, or she cooked. I don't think you had cooked them. She hadn't cooked them, and so my mom was thinking that, okay, they're gonna spoil, so I need to go ahead and cook them. My mom cooked the greens, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I know my mama did not cook my wife greens. And my wife came in the house because she loves my mom and she's respectful. She didn't address the situation. She didn't get mad. My greens? She didn't say anything. But I knew from her reaction that she felt, a little disappointed that my mom would do that.
I felt away.
Yeah. And so we went out of town, and so my wife was a little quiet. And I'm like, oh gosh, what had happened? So my wife, I think she communicated it to me what took place and why she was upset. And so I communicated with my mom about how that was not cool, and she should have consulted with my wife because that's my wife's greens that was in the refrigerator. And she was like, well, but they was going to spoil. Mom, regardless of if they were going to spoil or not, let them spoil, but you don't cook her greens without her consent. Yeah. And I said, you owe her an apology. So being willing to step up and to speak up, and I think what it communicated to you, to where he will handle any situation, regardless of anyone. Yeah. Now, you don't be the wife. You need to tell your mama that she ain't nothing and give her a piece of your mind, because oftentimes when you have an estrained relationship with your mom as a wife, you expect him to deal with his mom a certain way because you deal with your mom a certain way. And that's not the case in every situation. And so, but I think it's important, men, that we stand up and that we step up and that we speak up, as it relates to any family member, as it relates, and you don't have to be this superhero. Nobody say nothing to my wife. My wife is this, and my wife is, and I'm gonna put and you just don't deal with your family at all because of your wife.
Right.
But making sure that you address situations and letting her know and everybody know that she is your number one. So I think that's vitally important.
Yeah.
And I think it made you feel a level of security to where he has me.
Yeah,
he has
absolutely,
me.
absolutely.
My mom didn't feel disrespected. She
Yeah.
didn't feel slighted. It was just the right thing to do.
Yep.
If my wife was out of line with my mom, I would have to man up the same way and talk to my wife and let her know, hey, baby, I think you really want to communicate with her and you owe her an apology as it relates to this. It's been a peacemaker.
Yep.
And it's stepping up and doing the right thing and being a man and leading. So men of God, kingdom men of God, know your role. Know your role and know the importance that when you don't do that, if your wife has communicated with you that you put your mom or your family or other people or the mother of your children or your children before her, don't take that lightly. Don't take that for granted. Deal with it. Deal with it. Have a conversation. Be wise and deal with it. And let her know that she is your top priority. And that's going to take work.
It is.
It's going to take work.
It is.
But deal with it.
And I'm glad you mentioned, because sometimes we want people to communicate at the same level of frustration that we feel. So if you say you need to tell her XYZ, and I want you to communicate it with at the same depth of madness, frustration, all of that. I want you to communicate it like that. And that's not fair. If you really want there to be reconciliation, if you really, and maybe you don't, but if you really want it to be resolved, we can't always communicate frustrated, mad, angrily. Sometimes we have to, and it's a soft answer that turns away wrath.
That's right.
So it's how we communicate things that is going to get us to a different end. But if you want, some of us don't mind the smoke, and we don't mind constant keeping smoke with people.
Yeah.
So if we live like that, and that's where that's kind of where we always are, then we don't mind saying what we want to say, doing what we want to do, and just kind of let the dust settle where it is. But as kingdom people, that can't be how our method in how we communicate things. At the end of the day, we want peace. Yep. We want there to be peace. I didn't want to have or this undercurrent of animosity or some little bit of bitterness about my greens. I didn't want that. I didn't want it. So,
and I think I understood the importance of that. Understood the importance because, and this is what we don't think about. We don't think about how that threatens the security. Yes. And so we have to know that to where it threatens her top need, to where he doesn't have me. Yep. He doesn't protect me. Yep. I'm not his number one. Yeah. I feel some kind of way about that. So, so men handled it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Amen.
Next question. My husband and I are still newlyweds. Okay. 1 year in. Okay. I'm ready to have kids and he's not. How do I get him on board?
Go. You go.
Oh, how do I get him on board? I think, thinking back to prior conversations, hopefully that was conversations that you had prior to getting married about the timing of your having kids. Now, if it was 1 year, I think you were within your right to say, hey, look, this is what we talked about. If you all did not talk about that, then I think it's important that you all talk about it. Really finding out from him why he is not ready to have kids. Are there any fears that he has? Just what is the reason that you don't want to have kids? And not trying to debo him and get upset and say, well, I'm ready to have kids right now, and I'm ready. I'm going to do whatever. Not that. We had a situation. Remember that?
We did. I was ready.
She was ready, and I was like, wait a minute. Yep. Let's And she was like, nope, I'm ready. I'm ready
now.
Right. And it was twofold. One, I don't think she handled that right. But then two, I don't think my head space and my fears at that time was allowing me to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
And she didn't really understand my
I didn't
fears
care.
and didn't care about my fears.
I wanted what I wanted.
That's right.
Which was the baby.
That's right. And see, and I think it was a problem for both of us.
Yeah.
Because I had fears that I really wasn't communicating.
That's right.
And she wanted the child, and she wasn't really she didn't want to hear anything else. I want the baby right now.
It.
And so I think if we had that time over,
yeah.
Her wisdom should have been, to talk me through and to see the reasons why I wanted to pump the brakes.
Yep.
And I should have given full disclosure as why I wanted to pump the brakes, And so I think it's really having a conversation, not from an angry place, not from I'm ready right now, but just a place of understanding, having that conversation and to see is there a legitimate reason, why he's not ready, and listen to it, listen to him, and maybe you all can create a win-win situation. You want it now, he want it a year from now. So you say, hey, look, let's split it in the middle and do it in 6 months, and so, but I think in every situation, seeking that win-win solution.
Amen. I think that was good. That was good.
You have anything to add to that?
I do not.
All right.
Great answer.
Okay. All right. What do you do when your wife disrespects you or your decisions in front of the stepkids?
Blended families always bring a little bit of, or let me say that blended families can bring a little bit of challenge to the table because you are bringing two pre-existing systems together. And they have functioned separately, kind of like we do as individuals, but now you're functioning with other people, and now you're saying all of us mesh together. So that's sometimes where the challenge comes in at. Now, in this particular case, someone is asking, my spouse disrespects me in front of the stepchildren. You going for it?
Yeah, I think one word that's communicated in there that's a no is disrespect. And I think you have to define what disrespect is. But
very good.
But it's because it could be that I don't like how they're talking to me.
Okay.
Or it could be they're calling me out of my name. But let's communicate and define what is disrespect. I think that's important for you to define. Is it disrespect, or is it something that you really don't like, or is it just the tone in which she's communicating it in? So defining that. I think the next thing is there should never be disrespect. Amen. Whether it's in front of the stepkids, whether it's behind closed doors, Amen. Whether it's in silence. Amen. There should never be any disrespect. So the first issue is the issue of respect. So why is it that she's not respecting you? So I think we have to address that issue first. Like, when you do this causes me to feel that you're disrespectful to me. So addressing that issue. Now, it heightens when it happens in front of people. Yes. And it heightens even more when it happens in front of the step kids. Yes. And what happens, women of God, if your husband feels, see, this is important. If he feels disrespected, then he's disrespected. You have to understand that, to where if he communicates that, hey, when you do this, this is how I feel, I think it's your duty, your job to make an adjustment, to correct your behavior. If he feel that when you need to get this out the sink, if he feel that is disrespectful, then you want to reevaluate your how you come to him. And you want to think about that. You don't want to minimize what he deems as disrespect. So I think that's number one, hearing that this is disrespectful when you do this. So wife, address that, handle that. Now, anytime something like this happens, or you feel disrespect in front of the kids, it's never good. It's never a good look. It's never a good feeling for the husband. It's never a good look for the kids. It's never. It's just, that's never okay.
Opens a lot of doors.
Yes, it opens. You're planting a seed.
Yes,
it causes them to lack respect. It causes them to it gives them a picture of marriage, of what to look forward to or what not to look forward to. So you have to be very careful of your interaction around people, and particularly children, that's his stepchildren. So I think the more you respect him, publicly. The more you respect him in front of the kids, the more they'll respect him, and the more the more you have an opportunity to lay a precedent before them. This is how you respond to your husband when you get married, or this is how this is what you should expect from your wife when you get married. So I think those things are really important. That your response to your spouse in front of your children sets a precedent for what they should expect.
Absolutely.
Let me say this, because even, stepkids or not, I'm very sensitive. Both of us are, but I'm very sensitive to your response to me in front of our kids, to where it's because you're laying a foundation. How you respond to me in front of our kids, it lays a foundation. My son looks at how you respond to me.
Absolutely.
And he looks at how I respond.
Yep.
I'm teaching him, to this is how you handle your wife. This is how if I lay down and don't say anything back, then he'll feel that, oh, it's okay for my wife to disrespect me, or for my wife to talk to me about this. I'm showing him what it is to be a man. If I snap back at you, he's seeing that, okay, so this is the example that I'm giving to him. So it's very important that you show him as an example of this is how this is an example of how your wife should respond to you, or how you should expect your wife to respond to you. This is what you should look forward to, and vice versa with our daughter, to where you're teaching her how to respond to her husband. You're teaching her how to address her husband. Yeah. If you're walking around with an attitude and not saying anything, you're you're setting a precedent for her. If you're stroking my ego, if you're speaking with grace, if you're speaking with wisdom, then you're setting an example before her. So you have to realize it's not just about your husband per se. It's about the example that you're setting before the kids as well. All right, here we go. What if your spouse doesn't like to do a particular thing that you like?
Is it sexually?
Sexual, yes.
Okay.
What if your spouse doesn't like to do a particular thing that you like? Can't force them, can I?
No, you cannot. No, you cannot.
So this brother is saying, listen, I want to do this and she don't want to do this. Can I force her?
No, you cannot, my brother.
Okay, if my body don't belong to me and her body don't belong to her, and she ain't trying to give me what belong to me, then I can't have my body.
Let's talk about why. Communication is big in marriage.
It is very
People
big.
of God, it is very big. Let's talk about why, because there are a lot of reasons why people would throw the X up at certain things in marriage. If you marry someone who may have a past, you're thinking about that. You're thinking about maybe the interaction that this individual had with someone from their past that may serve as a block. If there has been previous sexual abuse, that could also serve as a block. Like, I don't like when you touch me like that because it takes me back to another place. It may be something that I'm not familiar with. I've never done this before. Which could kind of be, it could go into some gray areas, because I'm also wondering, because when you're intimate with someone, you've said this before, that when you are an adult, that folks just got to realize that folks been out here being grown for a long time. And the days are kind of long gone where people are ewing about certain things. We grown. I've been grown, you've been grown. So it's probably been some things that both of us have done, and we've been real grown out here. So because of that,
You talking about us?
I'm saying us, I'm saying individuals.
So you been grown out here?
I can't.
You been grown? Now we need to talk on the air. You been? I ain't know you were grown out here. So just because we on this podcast, don't mean that.
Listen.
No.
Everybody has been grown.
Have you been grown? When I met you, you was 18. You had just turned 18. So you wasn't that grown.
But we got married. How old was I when we got married?
26. So we was together for like a couple of years. Then you got saved. So have you been grown out here?
Have you been grown?
Yeah, I've been grown. We agreed that I'd have been grown.
Well, can we agree that I was grown?
Not we just figuring it out right here. So, we need to talk about.
We don't have to talk about it.
So you been grown?
I wasn't grown.
No, I like that.
Woo woo.
Oh, come on, talk to me.
So, because folks been out here being grown, we can act like, oh, I didn't want you to be grown before we got together.
Yeah.
I just have to understand that you were grown.
Yeah.
And I have to do something with that. And we're going to have to talk. Now, if you're one of those individuals that feel like you need to know how grown your partner has been out here in these streets, then I would suggest that you ask.
When you let's give clarity. When you say you want to know how
grown you been.
Yeah, what do you mean?
How you been carrying on out here? What you been doing? What have you been doing? Because now here's the thing. I have a friend who said, who communicated, and we've talked about things like this, whether or not they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And one individual says, I don't want to know anything because I don't want anything going through my brain. Like, I don't want to think about them. I know that they were out there, and I know that they've been out here grown and been handling business. But I don't really want to know in depth. I don't want to know who, what, when, where, how, or why. I want no parts of that. The only thing I'm concerned about is what me and you got going on.
Yeah.
But there's another individual who says, no, I'm not going for that. I want to know everything. I want to know the who, what, when, where, how, and why, because I don't want to be surprised. So I think you have to know yourself, and you have to know what it is that you can handle, because sometimes our spouses can get in front of us. We only know what we know. And sometimes our spouse can come to the table and we're having this talk, and let's just say you give them a pen and a piece of paper, and that pen is constantly moving. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It was probably better that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And some things is better that you don't know. But I think you have to know what that is. You have to know and be honest. Be honest with yourself. You know you, and you know that if I am one of these, and I'm way too visual. There are certain restaurants I can't eat in because I'm too visual. You love a good old hole in the wall. You love a restaurant that got wobbly tables, smell like whatever it is that they cooking, like all of that. I can't do it. I cannot. Like, a hole in the wall, give me a to-go plate. But I can't eat in here because how I feel, what I smell, all of these things matter to me. So I'm way too visual for some things. But I know that about me. So it's some places that I'm not comfortable in. Certain things that I don't want to know. Certain things I do want to know. But I think you just have to be honest with yourself and don't lean into what you necessarily feel. You have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you can really talk about, or what you really want to know.
Yeah.
And if but that's going to come through communication and y'all really talking about it and being open and honest and not putting up any barriers or walls either. If I say I want to know, don't give me the runaround on letting me know. Let me know what it is. And if I don't want to know, let us move on. But I think it all goes back to, again, the C word, communication. Like, we got to talk about it. Let's figure out, or not even let's figure out. I ask the question. Ask. So I notice every time I try to do X, you blocking me, or you running, or you got something else to do, or your head hurting, or you cool on some things, but when I try to do this, you get on down, you run, you know what I'm saying?
My head hurt.
All of that, like you get up.
My stomach hurt.
So what's bringing that about? And so if it's depending on what it is, that's going to determine how you respond. Of course, if it's any level of abuse, then obviously there's still some trauma attached to that. So don't force that. Don't force that. There still needs to be some healing in the area. So that means brother or sister, then they're give them time to heal from that. And let's see if there's some other things we can do. Just stay out of that zone.
Yeah.
But if there was no trauma and it's just because it's something new, then maybe figure out some different ways to approach that. It's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot.
I don't
There's a
know.
lot to be done around
I
here.
don't know. Yeah, I think it's certain. I think but I agree. I agree in terms of if there's been abuse or trauma,
Yes.
that has to be
Yes.
we talked about this on Sunday, just the importance of making sure prior to marriage that you really get healed, that you
As
really
best you can.
have therapy, get healed as best you can, because
Yes.
you don't want to bring these issues into marriage, because now you're in marriage and your husband or your spouse, your wife, has to deal with past traumas that you've experienced,
Absolutely.
and now they're paying for what took place,
Yeah.
in your life. And
Yeah.
so there's a lack of freedom, or satisfaction in the marriage, because there was no healing, and the marriage took place before the healing, opposed to the healing then the marriage. And so, and I think, if there's not any trauma in that area, I think then it goes to, things that you prefer. If your spouse prefers a certain thing, I think you have to hear, that preference, to where if, some people, as it relates to oral sex and just in different things, to talk about these things, to, because I think, if it's as simple as this, to where it's just preferences, there was no abuse that took place, but he wants oral sex, she doesn't want oral sex, it's, so what do we do about that? So we never do it,
Right.
or maybe there's some type of happy medium to where, we do it. Maybe it's not every time that we're together, but we do it,
Right.
because she doesn't like it, and, she don't like it like this or like it like that. But it can't be a lot of no, a lot of no's, because then it goes back, it goes back to scripture, like, my body's not, it's not my body,
Right.
your body's not your body.
Right.
And so, if this belongs, my truck can't tell me, I don't go to North Memphis. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Oh, matter of fact, I don't go to East Memphis either.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do. It's like,
Yeah.
no, man. If I bought you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go where you go where I want you to go, and I go where you want me to go. And I'm sensitive to
Right.
certain things, but
Right.
I think that's important, because your body don't belong to you. And so, there's a lot of conversation that has to take place, because and these are real issues, because oftentimes when these things are not dealt with, that's when infidelity kicks in. You see what I'm saying? And it's never a place for that. It's never any justification for that. But the reality is if somebody's starving, consistently over time, it's that temptation is heightened,
Yes, sir.
and so it's try to meet each other's need, to where I don't really prefer this, she prefers this. Let me do this and get over myself and meet my spouse's need. I think that's very important.
Amen. That was good.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
Pastor, what do you do if your wife is not responding to her husband's advances? What do you do if your wife is not responding to her husband's advances? The brother is coming for you. The brother is at you. The brother is sending you a text message. The brother is sending you roses. He's sending you edible arrangements. He's letting you know that he wants you, but you are not responding to his advances. I think with everything, we don't know the situation about,
Right.
why
What's the
she's
why?
not responding. Was there any infidelity? Was there anything that caused her, to not trust you? What's the full story? If it's only, no, those things weren't the case, and it's just she's not interested. I think having a conversation, again, communication, having a conversation, letting her know, this is how this make me feel when I attempt to make advances and you reject those advances. This is how it makes me feel, and this is the effect, and this what it does. It causes me to feel rejected. It causes me to feel unloved. It causes me to feel hurt and pain, and it's difficult to to feel this and it not affect me, And so I think communicating how you feel before you get super frustrated, so being willing to walk her through, when you do this, this is what this does to me, and this is how this make me feel, and this is what I'm feeling, and I'm feeling unloved, I'm feeling unwanted, I'm feeling undesired, I'm feeling like I'm not so all of these things I think should be communicated. And I think communicate those things, pray about it, communicate those things, and prayerfully she gets it, but to the wife who's not responding, that is a place of hurt, a place of pain, for your husband. That's a place of of where he can really resent you, And I think anything, when things like this happen, you have to understand because people are human. You have to ensure that you're building in a fair-proof marriage. Because if you're not responding and you're not ready to his advances, he said that I'm going to be with you and nobody else but you. I'm getting off the market. You my number one. You my only one. You're who I'm with. I'm not sleeping with anybody. I'm not flirting with anybody. I'm not looking at anybody in a lustful way. I'm not, watching the internet and looking up things on the internet, but it's you. And he make advances at you and you deny him of that. You deprive him of so much of his person, of his, his how he feels emotionally, and you don't want your husband to feel like that because we know that there's a plethora of people out there that is beating down the door for that type of affection, that type of attention, and we don't want to flaunt that or throw it up, in your face, but that's something that we know, and it's prevalent, at work, it's prevalent at church, it's prevalent, just everywhere. Women are starving for that, and you get that from him, and to reject him in that manner is not good, and it's not healthy, and it creates extra temptations that doesn't have to be there.
I'm always interested in why, and I know that sometimes whys don't matter, but I would certainly want to know or would be interested in just knowing sometimes the why behind that. I know sometimes insecurities with ourselves will prevent us from responding a certain way. We feel a certain way. We feel some kind of way about ourselves.
Yeah.
So it limits how I'm able to receive love shown a certain way. I always find it interesting. Just how and every now and then I think we just need a older sister, auntie, mother, grandmother conversation to remind us that, hey, baby girl, you got something good. Don't be over there messing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is really, really good, and I think it's it's good to understand the why, and brothers being sensitive to that and hearing that, because that is so true, and you have to do it, and I'm from this place too, because I deal with so many people, and I understand how prevalent infidelity is, and particularly with among men, and I'm telling you, my sisters, I'm telling you, it's brothers, yes, understand the why. I mean, be sensitive, figure that out. Don't It's never a place in time or an excuse to go outside of your marriage. But ladies, hear me when I tell you, it's sometimes he's not trying to figure out the why. It's when you reject him in that manner.
He's responding.
And so I get it. I understand it, but it's because if you were giving him everything that he need, everything that he desired, oftentimes for brothers, it's still difficult to be faithful to one woman. That's still difficult. So when that's not happening, and it's not only not happening on the sexual front, but also even as the approaching, he's being rejected in the bedroom, he's being rejected before the bedroom, he's being rejected in the responses. That is not healthy, and it's a breeding ground for adultery. That is a breeding ground for adultery. So my encouragement is to communicate, to pray, ladies, to communicate with your husband. It's not you. Let him know what's going on, and and ask God to give you a desire, to give you the willingness, to give you the wherewithal to accept the advances and move forward how you need to move forward as a kingdom woman.
That's good. That's good.
All right. We got time for one more.
Okay.
All right. What is your take on this? If infidelity was involved, if a wife choose to reconcile with the agreement of full disclosure from the cheating. So I think it's related to a question when I talked about ladies don't be so asking a whole lot of questions just about certain decisions that your husband make. when you ask a lot of questions about decisions that he make, that he feels that is disrespectful, just sort of roll with it. So I think that she took it a step further. No, what if, it's been some cheating and she won't full disclosure? And I think you should just handle some of that.
Right.
I want to say this, brothers, if you have stepped outside of your marriage and your wife, is willing to stay, but she won't full disclosure, give her full disclosure.
Absolutely. That's if you want it.
Yep.
If you want reconciliation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what I mean is this, it's some things, you can know that now, baby, I was foul. It wasn't good. It wasn't right. But and I can give you all the details you want, but I think some things just may not be really important, or it could really hurt more than help. But you be willing to, after you communicate those things to her, you be willing to, to share. I think we did. I think it was on one of our podcasts, and we talked about that. Just my past before we got married.
Right.
Just you want to know everything. You want to know where, how, when, who. You want to know everything. And I think and I communicated. Some of that is not even important now. But if you want to know that, I would give you everything you want to know.
Yeah.
And when I was ready to do it, you was like, I mean, we didn't have to go there, because I think you wanted to know that I was willing.
Yes.
To be able to communicate that.
Yes.
Opposed to, I don't want to talk about it.
The more you withheld, the more I felt the need. What I want to know, because now I'm feeling like, what is it that you're withholding? So now I want to know more.
Yeah, and not just what is that you withhold, is that, and then are you still that same person? Because you had, it was like you withheld then, you was operating in secrecy then. So now you still operating in secrecy, or are you a different person willing to disclose whatever it is, And I think with that, my brother or sister, if it's been infidelity and your spouse won't full disclosure, give it to them. Let them know. Let them have it, And so that's just asking because my husband sent this to me. I don't think he realized that this most likely applied to faithful me, or being, maybe she said.
Maybe she meant men.
Oh.
This applies to faithful men.
Okay, maybe this applies to faithful men. Okay, at least until all issues that led to and occurred during infidelity are resolved. Yeah, I think it's
maybe what you were talking about on that particular clip was about asking all the questions, and she's saying, all of that only applies to if you've been around here being faithful. Other than that, I'm gonna ask what I want to ask. I'm gonna ask everything because I don't trust you.
You gave up your right.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't trust you.
For her to not ask questions. You don't have that right. I mean,
I don't trust you.
She doesn't trust you. And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that she doesn't trust you right now because you hadn't been faithful.
That's it.
And hey man, it's been 4 months. How long did you cheat? If you cheated for 4 months, then let her not trust you for 4 months. It's okay, and you be okay with that. That you be okay with the questions. Be okay with her not trusting you. Be okay with her looking through your phone. Be okay with her wanting your password. You be okay and give her full disclosure and show her that you're not who you once were.
You violate trust in an instant.
Yep.
And it takes time
to rebuild it.
Yep. You can blow up a building in a matter of seconds.
Yep.
But it takes years to rebuild.
Absolutely.
So
that's good.
That's a part of the rebuilding process.
Yep.
That no, I don't trust your questions. I don't trust you telling me, or this is what we're gonna do. No, wait now. I don't know you like that right now. I'm getting to know you again.
That's right.
And give me that because you violated that, and that can go either way. And about any level of violation, or and I think in this particular instance it was about infidelity. So anytime trust is broken, there has to be a rebuilding if that's what you desire.
Yep. That's
if
good,
that's what you desire.
That's really good. Listen, I hope this blessed you on today. This is our time, but I enjoy answering questions. You take the time out to send the questions in, and we want to make sure that we're taking the time out to respond to your questions. it's a blessing. If it wasn't for you,
Yes.
if it wasn't for your tuning in, your inquiring about, what we have going on, this wouldn't be what it is. So we thank God for you. We thank God for you tuning in. We thank God for you listening, for you taking notes, for everything
sharing it, all of it,
downloading it, all of that. We thank God for you. Continue to do it, because I believe that God has given us something to give to the world, and share this message that God has given us to the world for married couples.
Yes. So until next week, we will see you then.
God bless.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Still in Love podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has indeed blessed your life. If it has, we need you to do 3 things for us. 1, we want you to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform, so that way you can be notified when a new episode drops. Number 2, we want you to review it. Click on that 5-star and let us know how much you enjoyed it. We absolutely love feedback here at the Still in Love podcast, and this helps us to make sure that we are scratching where there's an itch. And number 3, we want you to share it with a friend or a family member. Also, if you have a question, we'd love to hear it and even talk about it right here on the podcast. You can submit those questions at stillinlovepodcast.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Innovation Church Memphis, and on TikTok at We Are Innovation. Until next time, peace.
Don't just start in love,
but stay in love.
Thanks for tuning in to Still in Love podcast. God bless.